Hi, thanks so much for tuning in to Examine, real and raw conversations about porn and purity. My name is Brittany Delamora, and my guest today really needs no introduction. Her name is Nargis Fakhri. Nargis, did I say
you said it right. I'm so proud of you.
So, Nargis, tell us who you are and what do you do?
So, my name is Nargis Fakhri, and I'm a human.
Yes,
and
that you are.
I smile for a living.
Where?
I am a Bollywood actress,
yes.
or I should say I'm an international actress because I've done various films around the world, and that's about it.
And you're being so humble about your approach. I mean, you've graced the cover of Vogue.
Yeah.
What else have you done?
Oh, I've probably been on many covers like Cosmo, Vogue, whatever, but I don't think that's the big accomplishment. So
right.
But thank you
I want to go there. I do want to go
do.
there because I know there's a lot of women who want to be where you are. So what do you think about like social media and the effect that it has on men and women and teenagers and all of the above nowadays?
Oh man, girl. Social media is definitely something that has changed the dynamics between human connection and interaction. And I feel personally it's like kind of ruining relationships. And I'm old school, so I really enjoy meeting people one-on-one or outside somewhere. But I think nowadays people are using, online apps and social media to connect with people.
And what about the picture it paints too? Because social media is really, it's your highlight reel. You could be having the worst day ever. Everything is going wrong in your life, but you post a photo from 3 days ago and you're like, oh, hey, just chilling in Beverly Hills, having the time of my life. And it's really this highlight reel. And so I think that then we as humans, we look to these other people's, like we could look at your social media, for example, and go, well, my life doesn't match up to hers because, she's currently in Bali, like doing photo shoots with the monkeys. And, she's living such a lavish and exotic lifestyle. And it just paints this picture that is almost like we set a standard nowadays in our generation that most people can't live up to.
Right. And it's so crazy because I guess people who, back in the day before social media or Instagram, whatever, you had models and actors, and that was, our life. People saw us on TV, saw us on magazines, but we know it's just smoke and mirrors. Because I remember working and, you have a whole team putting all this stuff on your face and doing your hair. And then you're doing these shoots and you look amazing. And I remember coming home, taking off my eyelashes, my weave, boob pads, everything. And I'm looking in the mirror, I'm like, who are you? Because even though I know the truth, I also got caught up in like, oh my God, I don't look like that girl on the magazine.
Yeah.
This is what I look like. So I started feeling bad. So I think it's really sad now because everyone's able to do that, to put a mask on, to show a face that's not the real face. People pretend to be someone they're not on social media, and people fall for it. I'll tell you a story. So when I was working in India, in Bollywood, I didn't have my friends or family around me, and I was just working really hard. And I was so depressed, and I was like, oh my God, I hate my life. What am I doing here? Why am I here? I'm so lonely. This is not fulfilling. And I was looking at Instagram all the time because I was trying to keep up with my friends and other people and then other famous people. And I was telling my manager, I'm like, oh my God, my life sucks. Look at these people, they're having so much fun. I just want to be there with them, or I want to be like this person. And my manager looked at me and she's like, girl, you think Rihanna's page, it looks perfect, but you think she's always happy? And then she started pointing out other celebrities. She's like, look, everyone's in your situation as well. They're feeling the same things. They're just posting something fun. She's like, look at your page. We went out clubbing. You posted a party picture. I know that you were not happy there, but you made everyone else think you're having the time of your life.
Yeah.
So that really hit me. I was like, whoa, I can't really put too much energy towards looking at people's stuff in that way. So I had to change my thought process.
That's so good. And I think it's so necessary to do that because so many women are looking for what you possess. You possess fame, you've graced covers of so many different magazines around the world, like, and women think that they're going to find their happiness in that. You know, I was going to college for broadcasting and journalism, and then I ended up dropping out because I was given the opportunity to do pornography.
Oh, wow.
And I looked at porn and I go, this is it. Like, I was really doing broadcasting and journalism because although I loved it, I felt like I was going to be noticed. I was going to be seen, that people were going to see me on TV, and that somehow made me better than who I actually was. And so my journey of searching for fame and affirmation and money, it led me to the porn industry. And so that's why I think we definitely have to shut that, like, that standard, that unrealistic standard off, because if you're chasing fame, like, you're not going to find happiness. So do you feel like your fame has brought you happiness, or where is your source of happiness coming from?
Oh my gosh, actually, fame, like, I feel like it ruined my soul. I didn't set out to be an actress, but when I experienced fame for the first time, it was in a negative way, unfortunately. And of course, the positive stuff is really nice, and it does give you a boost in your self-esteem, but I realized I can't hold on to that, because when you're famous, it's going to be negative and positive. And you kind of can't put so much into the positivity, because when the negative hits you, it's going to rip you down. So I had to find a way to just back away from all of it and not seek validation in what other people are saying.
So
I had to remember that I am going to validate myself.
Right.
And I am enough, and I am a special person, and I'm unlike, we're not the same people. We both are beautiful, we both are talented, but we're different. And I have to look at myself and appreciate and have gratitude for who I am. And that was a huge lesson.
That is, because if you live by people's praise, you're going to die by their silence. And
yes, girl,
when you encounter some fame, people are going to love you one moment and then they want to tear you down the next.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
So what are some boundaries that you set? Because obviously I didn't have clear boundaries. I knew where I wanted to go in life, and I ended up in the porn industry. What are some boundaries that you've set that have helped you keep your moral compass in line?
That's a hard question, because I think it comes from my childhood with the way that my mom raised me, but she didn't do it in the right way. She scared me with a lot of things, with like men and sex and relationships. So I think some stuff comes from her, where like always making sure that, the morals of like sexual interaction or not being nude, like all these little random things came from her and stuck in my head. But then I also think I was a very shy person, so maybe that also played a part too. And then I had a lot of friends that did do things, and I always looked at the result. And so I'm a person that learns by watching other people. I'm not going to make the same mistake that you made. So I'm going to know, hey, this is not the right way to go about things. I always knew that I'm not, like, what am I really hungry for? I'm not going to be that hungry for fame, that I'm going to, do whatever, like pose naked or do certain things or sleep with a director. I mean, I've lost jobs because I didn't do certain things. And that was heartbreaking, because it's like, oh my God, I'm trying to live in a place where I have high standards and boundaries, and it sucks because I got, kicked out more than once. And that hurt, but it still kept me telling myself, you know what, good people or people with the morals and values, you'll win your own way. Maybe it's just not that way. And that's what I held on to, just knowing that, be true to myself. And don't let anyone try to convince me for anything else. And that there's nothing that's worth more than my morals and values.
Right.
So.
And I love that you were able to say no, and that you were willing to lose work, because we've heard a lot of, over the last couple of years, like the Me Too movement, with so many women coming out and saying that they lost jobs because, or that they didn't lose jobs, but that they were forced to sleep with specific directors or producers or whatever it may be, just so that they could get work. And so that's something that you've experienced, but you were able to say no to.
No.
So why were you able to say no versus maybe another woman just saying, you know what, I'm just going to do it?
I think that I didn't put so much value into my job and into wanting that. And for me, I got for me, the work was creative and fun, and of course it helped me take care of me and my family.
Right.
So that was the most important thing, not being famous, not being seen. But with that said, I always knew that I would get other jobs.
Yeah.
You know, like if it's not with this big person, that's fine. Maybe it'll be with another person, but they'll be a decent, good human being. And let me tell you, girl, I pray to God every day.
Yes. Yes.
And I pray to God, I always say, God, please lead me on the right path and only put me with good people with good intentions in their heart. And somehow I've always been saved.
Yes.
So if I lost that job, I said, okay, you saved me. It was not meant to be. I'm good. Let's see what's next.
Yes.
So that's another thing. I don't like talking about that because like, I'm not like so religious, but I do have that, like, it's like it's my secret. Yeah. And it's very personal to me. And I think I talk to God a lot.
And I think for a lot of people that don't know, who maybe just know you from social media, they know you from Instagram, like, I think something that most people wouldn't know about you is that you are such a humble person, that you have so much love in your heart. And I truly do believe that's a huge reason why your career has been so blessed, is because of your relationship with God, because of your prayers, because of your humble heart, because you're not out to like get anybody, you're not out to make your name famous. You really have good intentions with your motives and with your career. And I love and appreciate that about you so much.
Thank you. And I try to tell that to people because I'm like, if you want something, just ask and you'll receive. Yeah. But there's one condition: make sure your heart's clean.
Yeah, that's good.
And if I talk about my story, yes, I worked so hard, but I also have been blessed with the opportunity falling into my lap. Yeah. But my deepest desire and intention was like, all I want to do in life is take care of my mom, my sister, help other people the way I can, and travel and see the world. Yeah. And let me tell you, God just kept throwing all these gifts to me. Yeah. So.
And He's not done with you.
Oh my gosh, I'm scared a little bit. I got a little anxiety.
Coming.
What else?
Speak it out. Where's one place that you haven't been that you want to go?
Oh my gosh, I have not. I've traveled the world except for Latin America. Okay. I'm dying to go to like Argentina and Brazil and Chile.
All right. Yeah. We're going to be able to rewind this interview a year or two.
Oh my gosh. And then
you're going to be doing a whole tour there.
I love it. Yes.
When I was in the adult film industry, it went really it actually went hand in hand with Hollywood. Oh, wow. I met a lot of rock stars and actors and rappers and football players, just everybody, you start to meet a lot of these people because the Hollywood theme is kind of like that sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And a lot of people really live up to that sex, drugs, and rock and roll. They hire escorts and so forth. Why do you think that is so big in the Hollywood industry?
I think it's just people with power that I realized. And a lot of people misuse their power. And a lot of people that gain that power and fame and money, they haven't healed their souls. So they have something going on, this empty void that they need to fill. That's what I think. I could be wrong. Yeah. I'm nobody. Who am I? I smile for a living. Don't listen to me, guys. I just smile. But I've had so much experience in my life, and I do a lot of self-reflection because, I'm not perfect in other ways. Yeah. And I'm just trying to understand myself and other people. So I guess that would be the void. And then where there's demand, there's supply. So that's when porn and prostitution goes hand in hand. Yeah. So
I think too, just like you said, the power and the money, and when you possess that, you can do whatever you want, right?
Yes, girl.
So you have the money, and now you have the power. I remember thinking a lot of porn stars are in that oh my God, I get to meet so and so. Yeah. You're like a groupie, so there's the power, and then they have the money, and so it just kind of the industries just collide. Yeah. And they really do. They go hand in hand. So I think you nailed it with the money, the power, and an obvious void in people's hearts. And it's not to categorize all of Hollywood. Of course, in any and every industry, there's people who have good moral compasses. There's people who love the Lord. There's people then who just happen to stumble in this industry, and they're just way off. And so it's with any industry. It's
true.
Not just Hollywood.
And of course, there's a lot of naive people who haven't lived life yet or experienced things, so they don't know.
That was me.
Yeah,
I was 18 years old.
Girl, that's so young. And even for me, not with that, but there's other things in my life that I was a little naive to, and then you know, get yourself into a situation, you're like, oh, wait a minute, that was not right.
Yeah,
but then hopefully you learn. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So have you ever been asked to do something that went against your conviction?
I was really happy to work in Bollywood because they don't do like sex scenes.
Yeah.
So that made me so happy because I'm like, I am so not into getting naked in front of a camera. Like, I can't do it. And like, to be overly sexual or in a passionate scene would be very difficult for me, because even though it's acting and that's what you're supposed to do, I just had reservations about that. So I was happy about that. Definitely in modeling, you know, they you know, with models, you're just this mannequin, so there are times that they ask you to do topless shots or to be like super naked in an ad, but I was never like comfortable with stuff like that.
So did you turn those?
Yeah, I turned what, like, I would say no, sorry, I can't do it, or of course you ask what are they looking for, and if they are looking for something, you know, that I'm not comfortable with, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do it. When I was modeling, there was like this college edition Playboy magazine thing, and my agent had said, you know, they're asking for girls and they've chosen to see you if you would want to do something like that. And of course, like, I was like, oh wow, Playboy's so huge, and then the money was so much. I was like, dang, that's a lot of money. But then I was like, no. I said, no thanks, I'm good. Yeah.
I love that though, because you know what? You had a vision, and in the Bible it says that where there is no vision, the people perish. And so if you don't have a vision for your career, a vision for your marriage, a vision for whatever it may be in life, like whatever that is, it's going to fall apart. It's going to perish. And so it's so important that you have had that vision and that you've really just run with it all these years.
Yeah, I just go.
Yeah, you just go. You're like, nope, not in my vision.
Yeah,
throw it out.
Yeah.
That doesn't fit the vision. And that's where I think so many people fail in life, is that, you know, they don't have a vision for their lives. And so they just start accepting and receiving all these things and doing things that they probably wouldn't have done if they had a vision, because they don't have a vision.
I'll tell you something else they don't have.
What?
Patience.
Yeah.
And in this world today with social media and dating apps and all that, it's a instant gratification world.
Yes.
And people don't understand, like, where I am today started when I was 10.
Yeah.
I used to save my pennies. I used to put bottles in the machines and save the money.
Yeah.
I didn't buy new shoes. I put tape on my shoes because I knew that I was getting out of these projects.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm doing it. And I always, as a kid, just took those steps.
Yeah.
And if I didn't do that, I would not be here with you telling this story.
Exactly.
Yeah. Another thing I look at, which I just think about this all the time because I have a sibling who we are night and day, grew up in the same household, but we made different life choices. Yeah. So it's the choice that you have. So say you went towards porn because they offered so much money and excitement. I worked at Taco Bell, Dunkin' Donuts, and cleaned houses. And then of course later bartended or whatever to find ways to make a lot of money as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's just the choices, and we have choices.
We do.
We have choices. Always. No matter, as long as we're breathing, we have a choice to make, 2 choices to make.
Exactly.
Maybe even 3. I don't know.
Yeah, we can make as many choices as we want. So the topic of this is really real and raw conversations about porn and purity. So what do you think? Like, do you think that porn could be harmful, or do you think that it could be helpful to a marriage?
I feel for me, porn would hurt the marriage or the relationship, because you're kind of separating yourself from your partner. You know, you're going into this other fantasy world when you should be talking to your partner about the fantasy that you want.
Yeah.
And you know, like, and hopefully, you know, maybe you like something weird, I don't know, toe sucking, or like, I don't know, like weird things put in different places. I don't know what you like, but ask your partner first. Talk about it, you know, make each other feel comfortable. Don't go to watch some other, you know, peak couple doing all those weird things or whatever. Do the weird things with your wife.
Yes.
Like, come on.
That's why
you're together.
She is there for. Absolutely.
Exactly. And I'm sure she has weird things. Yeah. You know, like, but we won't know unless we communicate that and talk about it. I think a lot of people are scared too, but you know, something we have to figure out how to get over. Afraid of telling our secrets to one another, afraid that we're going to be judged or shamed, even though we are in this union. some people do still feel like they need to keep secrets, and that they're afraid to tell their partner that this is an issue I have, or this is what I like, or because they don't want to be judged or shamed, and that's tough.
On another episode, we interviewed a pastor, and he was saying how he is very transparent with his wife about everything.
Oh, I want to know. What does he tell her?
He said that he even goes to the extent of exposing just his simple thought. So if it's like, I'm attracted to this person, he'll open up to her so that they can keep each other accountable. You know, because obviously in life, like, it's about like, you want to protect your marriage, and there's times when, you know, you might find somebody else attractive, and so to be open and to be honest with your partner about that. And obviously I was telling him, like, you have a strong wife, because it takes a lot of strength to be able to hear that and not get offended. You know
oh my
what
gosh,
I mean?
I think I'd get offended.
I know.
I would get offended
I know.
at this moment in my life. My heart would hurt.
I could possibly. I mean, it might sting a little bit.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
But it's a natural. I mean, you see people, and you're like, you know, you're in a relationship, you're in a marriage, you're like, oh, that person's a little, you know, they're cute. So just to expose that, so that there's just this hedge of protection. On their marriage.
I like that.
Yeah.
That real honesty. That's hard for a lot of people.
What would you now, your current self, what would you say to 20-year-old Nargis?
I was so driven to take care of my family, and constantly felt this burden to take care of them, and always forgot to take care of myself. So I would tell myself, listen, you know, the world is not on your shoulders. You know, you can't change or save people. Yeah. And you have to learn when to let go, and you have to, I didn't have boundaries back then.
Right.
So I always felt this heavy weight of like, oh gosh, I gotta take care of my family, So then that drove me towards constantly working and only thinking about work. Like, I didn't care about dudes, friends, relationships. I was working. I need to find the next way to make money. What kind of business am I gonna do? How am I gonna get this? How am I gonna pay for my sister's stuff? How am I gonna take care of my mom's bills?
Yeah.
And
that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, a lot of pressure that I put on myself. And I forgot to build better relationships, which I'm learning now at this very young, youthful age. That it's not fame, it's not money, it's not who you are, what you do. The thing that brings you happiness is the relationships you have with people.
That's so
how
good.
you value your friendships, value your family, and make sure that they value you back.
Yeah.
And so that builds a bond, because you and we have a good time chatting away. We don't have to go nowhere.
Nope.
We could sit on the corner, have a bottle of cheap wine, and laugh and joke, and that'll be the best night ever.
Yeah.
Better than any night on the red carpet or some fancy party.
So in your young years of existence, in your young years,
2 years ago,
what have you learned about sex and intimacy? Is there a difference?
Woo, girl! I learned so much. Well, I really do feel that we learn through our relationships, because people reflect things about us, like things we don't like about people.
So
Sometimes
good.
we find it in us, or we learn what we don't like or do like. So I think relationships are important. There's a way to go about getting a relationship. And if you don't use that like guideline, you're gonna end up in a relationship that probably you don't want to be in, because you didn't follow the guideline and take the time to get to know the person.
Yeah.
And when you take the time to get to know someone and not have sex with them so fast, you're building emotional intimacy.
Yes.
And then through that, you're able to see the red flags.
It's harder to learn them though when you're having sex with them.
Yes, because you can't get away. Because once you sleep with a man, your soul is intertwined with that man.
Yeah.
Whether he's good or bad, you're bonded.
With my relationship with my husband, he's the first man I ever did this with, but I waited until marriage to have sex with him.
I love you.
Before, it wasn't easy, but
No.
it's possible with God. But before him, I was intimate with all of my exes, and there were times, like, I always call it the 3-year mark, because in both of my long-term relationships before my husband, it was like, well, it's the 1-year mark, sorry. So at about a year to a year and a half, I knew this person is no good for me. But for some reason, I stayed with both of them for an extra year and a half. And I'm like, what are you doing to yourself? But it's because you start to reason and you start to justify, right?
Yes.
But if you're not having sex with that person, it's like, it's a little bit easier to just cut them off.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
it's like, with my husband, I got to know his mind. I got to know his heart. And I was able to fall in love with him for who he is because we didn't bring like that sexual intimacy into our relationship. We wanted it, but we wanted to honor God. We wanted to wait. And we wanted to have that kind of a testimony that we could share with people. Because honestly, I'm so glad that I waited with him. Because with my 2 exes, girl, I was lost in the sauce, as they say.
Girl, I feel you.
And then you're like, what am I doing with this person? He's an idiot, but I can't leave, right?
I'm sweating from this conversation. Girl, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I know a lot of people out there, they're not going to be like, oh my God, I'm not waiting till I get married. Was she crazy?
Right.
And I have the best advice that my therapist told me. She goes, it has to be 10 dates before any penis revelation. I was like, what you talking about, girl? She's like, 10 dates. I was like, yeah, I mean, I go on 10 dates. She's like, girl, not 10 dates in a row.
Yeah.
She's like, you have to spread it out like a date a week.
Steve Harvey, I read his book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. He says 90 days.
90 days.
I really appreciated the marriage thing because I'm telling you, girl, after a year to a year and a half, that's when I knew they're not the one.
Yeah.
But because I was already sleeping with them, I was living with them, I was like
crazy.
this with them. Yeah, and it was just impossible.
Totally.
Yeah.
I wish more people would take the opportunity to slow down.
Yeah.
That would help to lessen the heartbreak. Because let me tell you, heartbreak is so painful.
Yeah.
You know, like literally physically painful.
Well, Nargis, thank you so much for being a part of this interview today. I love you with all my heart, and I'm just blessed and honored by your presence today. You've been amazing.
Thank you so much.
My name is Brittany. I used to be an adult star. I met Rachel several times at the eXXXA conventions. She would know me as Jenna Presley. I would stop by at the eXXX church booth to see her. She is so beautiful, and I absolutely love and adore her. I want to give her the most amazing praise report. Thank you, Jesus. I found him. I'm home. I want to thank her for all of her kind words and loving spirit. I don't know if she realizes how she impacted me or not, but her being so kind and non-judgmental always felt so good. I have finally encountered the unconditional love of God, and I will never go back. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Brittany. The eXXX Church has been a huge part of introducing Jesus to my life, and once I left the industry, they also helped me to not go back into the industry. Their support has truly helped radically change my life. They've also, over the last 20 years, helped hundreds of thousands of people get set free from their addiction to pornography. And so today, I'm asking for your help. Visit eXXXchurch.com/donate to give today to be a part of what God is going to do over the next 20 years in this ministry. I love you, God bless you, and thank you for your generosity.